All right. Welcome to the Centre Circle, episode 118. We're back after the international break and our international break. You've got myself, Keith, hosting today. I'm here with Isaac. How you doing?
I'm okay. We'll start with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're not really okay, but
Yeah.
but it's fine. John's not with us today. He's on an extended international break, but he'll be back soon. So, as per usual, we'll run through this weekend's Premier League fixtures, starting off with the game that's just finished. Liverpool 1, Manchester United 2.
Talk to me. What are your thoughts?
In the lead up to this, been waiting 2 weeks for Liverpool to play after suffering 3 defeats on the bounce. I was like, yeah, I'm excited to see Liverpool play against Man United at home, who we've got a really good record against. But my thought was, if we don't leave this match with a win, then I will start buying into the media hype and other fans' hype that something is going wrong within Liverpool. Even if we drew today, I would have been like, not good enough. The fact that Man United have turned up and left with 3 points is pretty much indefensible.
Why would you have said it's not good enough?
Because the current Man United team are just not, they're just plainly not good. They haven't won back-to-back games since Amorim taken charge in the Premier League. This is the first time they've won back-to-back Premier League games. I know they beat Sunderland 2-0, but even going into that, they'd lost before that, they'd won, they'd lost before that. This is not a good Man United team. And I kind of alluded to the same thing when we lost to Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. The actual team that Chelsea put out wasn't a good team. That was far from the best Chelsea team. But they beat us. So going into this game, no matter who Man United deployed, I was expecting us to come away with a victory. And the fact we haven't, now I'm starting to scrutinise the players and slot more than I have done so far this season.
Is there anything in particular that comes to mind when you say scrutinise?
So I think the issue is our midfield three. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai. Too many times today, it was far too easy for Man United to get through the press and spray the ball out wide and create a chance. And on the flip side, there's not enough going forward in terms of creativity from the midfield. And if you take the point of Isak needing service, the only time he received the ball that was punched through the lines was from Konate, after Konate made a driving run. So what's your take on it? I think that's where it starts for me. There are other things, but I think that's where it starts for me. What are your observations?
In regards to your point about creativity, I don't think we've had a creative spark in the midfield since Coutinho left.
Ooh,
And once he left, we relied on Firmino being a false nine, right? Playing up top, but dropping into the space between the lines, and then feeding Mane and Salah, or whoever was on the left, whoever was on the right. So to that point, I don't really hold any kind of feeling about that. And, we won the league essentially without a creative spark as well. I hear you in regard to how easy it seems to be for players to kind of just walk right through our midfield. That being said, I don't necessarily think it's the midfield that's the issue for me. I believe that we are quite disjointed up top. And that, for me, and I've been very vocal about this, you know exactly where I'm going. I believe we need to drop Salah. Now, people are going to be in the comments or whatever, they're going to watch this and they go, how can you say that? Numbers, blah, blah, blah. But without the numbers, what does he offer? Without the last-minute pop-ups and, tap-ins and whatever scorches or screamers or little jammy goals that he seems to get here and there, what else does he offer? And if I'll use today's game as a case in point, he's not your typical winger like a Diaz who can beat a player. He's not your typical winger like a Beckham or, maybe like a Trent, someone who's going to get out wide and whip the ball in. He's someone that feeds off of just chaos, essentially. And he's done well with it. Don't get me wrong. He's done extremely well to put numbers on the board. He was very instrumental in our run to the title. But when he's not being fed, or when doesn't seem to be the center of our attack, he's not offering anything, and it's almost like we're playing with a man down. And I feel like him and Isak are not gelling at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that point.
You've got Gakpo out left doing this thing that he seems to be doing, where if he's not cutting in, he's just holding onto the ball for far too long. So our front three is just disjointed, and Isak, I'm holding off on him because he's only just got up to speed. Slot came out and said in the press the other day, we can now start to judge him because he's had a sufficient pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. And
so, sorry, let me just round it up and just say, look, I don't necessarily think it's the midfield. I think our attack is just disjointed, and we need to figure it out. Whether we do keep Salah and put Ekitike back in there because that seemed to work well, or we say, no, Isak is the man we spent however much on. We're going to drop Salah and maybe put Chiesa or put Gakpo outright. We've got to figure it out.
Yeah, and on your point about Salah, I think there will be a lot more people now who agree with your way of thinking in terms of his output outside of goals and assists. This form drop-off has happened essentially since the back end of last season. And the goals he scored this season, the penalty at Burnley, the goal against Bournemouth essentially rounded off the win. There hasn't been the Salah where he's popping up with the important goals like he used to. And even when he's getting into positions, especially against Chelsea, where he's cutting on his favoured left foot, and you'd normally at least get it on target or put it in the top corner, he's firing it high and wide. And because of that, I think a lot of people will agree with you. In terms of the attacking, it's all well and good having your kind of mainstays and getting rhythm. But I think when you've got someone like Ekitike who's come in and shown the application and the performances, I think you've got to play him. And even if that means, I know Gakpo's Slot's boy, the little Dutch connection, just play him out on the left. Because when he came on today and played from the left, he created 2 chances off his own back within the space of 5 minutes. I'm not saying that that's something that Gakpo doesn't do, but it was just a bit more fresh. It was a bit more, just a little bit quicker than what Gakpo normally does. Like you say, Gakpo's got a signature move that sometimes works. He hit the post twice today. Had a kind of deflected shot that came off the crossbar, but the whole disjointed thing is, I totally agree with it, and everything just seems slow, even from kind of the fullbacks. Even when Van Dijk's on the ball, like he'll get the ball from Ramadash or whether it be Alisson, and it's just passed to Konate. Konate passes it to Gravenberch. It goes back to Van Dijk.
Yeah.
The whole build-up is very slow compared to what we're used to.
We got so used to playing at 100 miles an hour under Klopp, high press, high intensity football, gegenpress, that kind of style. And Slot's come in, and last season he didn't really change too much. I mean, there wasn't much he could change. It was still pretty much Klopp's team. Staff and most of the staff as well. So, I think this season he's now tried to implement more of his style, how he sees the game being played, and we've just, we started the first 5 games. I think we won all 5 of them, but there was it was just like something like a switch, like an instant drop off. It's like he went in and said, "All right, we're still doing gegenpress or whatever. Yeah. No, this is my style," and now it's just, we kick the bucket.
That's fair. So we've laboured on Liverpool a little bit. Let's talk about Man United. So obviously, Mbeumo scored in the 2nd minute, put United 1-0 up. Gakpo equalises, and then Harry Maguire pops up with a 84th minute winner. What is it that Man United done to stifle Liverpool if they did anything.
It's hard to say they did anything really well. They just, or like their game plan was what won them the game. They just capitalized on poor, like, lapses in concentration. So the first goal, obviously the elbow to the back of McAllister's head, and it seems like Liverpool kind of switched off defensively. They just went through and scored.
Yeah, you can
It's not. It's not exactly. It's not like they had a style of play or a pattern of play that broke us down, and they just capitalized on a mistake. And then in the corners or from the corner, it's Maguire. It's Harry Maguire. We know what he can do when the ball's in here. So if you don't put someone on him and try to neutralize that threat, what can you say?
Yeah, but they did have a couple chances when it was 1-0. Obviously, Bruno hit the post, and a few other chances. I just think they were just organised, like De Ligt, Maguire, and Shaw. Like, although they didn't have to work hard, the things they had to do, they just done them well, whether it be shepherding out the ball, etc. I think the only time when they were really under the cosh was when we made the substitutions and we kind of went the 4-2-4, and there must have been about a 10-minute period where we were kind of getting at them. But when you kind of make all those attacking changes, you're lacking a bit defensively, which Gary Neville kind of echoed a few times when he was commentating. And yeah, positionally, we just wasn't right for the winner from Maguire. So yeah, 4 defeats on the bounce for Liverpool. They go to Frankfurt in the Champions League on Wednesday, and that's a must win, which is crazy to say at the start of or the middle of October for Liverpool. But I would be interested to see the lineup that he played. I think it's time to give Chiesa a run out from the start, possibly. I think it's time to give Curtis Jones a run out from the start. And I don't want to go too far back in time, but I said on here that I would have preferred for Mark Gahey to get over the line before Isak, and I think that's ringing true a little bit right now. So yeah, let's see what happens and see if Liverpool can have an upturn in their fortunes. Right, moving to one of yesterday's games and a bit of a thriller down at Selhurst Park. And I'm kicking myself because I was offered tickets to this, but I couldn't make it.
Insane.
And it seems I missed out on a Premier League classic. For those of you that didn't see the result, Crystal Palace 3, Bournemouth 3. So Bournemouth took a 2-0 lead with 2 goals from Krupi in the 7th minute and the 38th minute. They go into half-time 2-0 up. And then it turns into a bit of the Mateta show, who scores quite a good half volley, I'd say, from across from Munoz, who's having another really good season. And then in the 69th minute, he makes it 2-2. And Palace are in the ascendancy. You think if a team's going to win this, it'll be Palace coming back from 2-0 down, making it 2-2. But Malcolm Christie pops up in the 89th minute, and Bournemouth think that they're going to win the game here. But no, there's a penalty to Crystal Palace in the 97th minute. And what I like about this is that, for those of you who may not know, there's a new rule about the jostling from corners. And what you'll find happens quite a few times with referees is that they'll be jostling, and then they'll blow their whistle and then talk to the players and be like, cut it out now. But we've seen a couple times this season where the referees just let the jostling happen and blown up for the penalty if need be, and that's what he done yesterday. Mark Gahey was fouled, and then Mateta stuck the penalty away, and then maybe 2 minutes later he had a gilt-edged chance to win the game. And considering he just scored a hat-trick, the form he's been in, I would have bet a lot of money that he would have put that away, but he fired it over the bar, and that was essentially the last action of the game.
Saw his name in the lights.
He did.
Celebrating before he'd even done the job.
4 goals. But last time we recorded, we done a little light-hearted Glasner or Iriola, and this kind of shows how good they are.
Yeah.
In terms of Bournemouth going to Crystal Palace, going 2-0 up, getting pegged back, then going on to score another goal. And then Palace for going 2-0 down and getting back into the game. Did you see much of this game?
I saw
What do you
it.
think of the way the two teams played?
It kind of gave me that feel of like, Liverpool, Newcastle, the crazy 4-3 fixtures.
Yeah.
What I liked about it is that both managers essentially set out their teams to play football. None of this, we're gonna sit back in blocks of 4 and defend and then counter attack. No, with both teams came to play football, and Iraola's team, they came out on top early doors. Semenyo's again the driving force. He is an absolute beast, late bloomer. I don't want to say he's in a peak. I hope he's not. I feel I want to say like he's coming into his peak because I heard Liverpool are after him. But all seriousness, it was good to watch. It was like proper football, proper back and forth. Both managers they've got clearer philosophies. You can see that in the way both teams play. Like you said, Munoz has become an attacking threat down the right side as well as defensively.
Yeah.
We've got Adam Wharton in the middle just controlling the game. So yeah, no, it was good to watch. What I did find interesting was that Glasner come out and said that Gahey's informed the club that this is it. He's out the door come the end of the season. And it kind of looked like that had fed through into the kind of the team vibe. Obviously with the Bournemouth.
Yeah, they started slow, didn't they?
They started quite slow. I don't think it's just Glasner that I'll be surprised if they hold on to. Obviously, we know Gahey's leaving.
Yep.
Mateta, the form that he's in, a bigger team's going to come calling because strikers are gold dust at the moment. So if a striker's on form like that and he can play up top by himself, then it's a matter of time before someone comes and slaps probably 80 to 100 for him.
Yeah,
easy.
That's the market now, isn't it?
Easy, which is wild to me. Where would you think he'd end up? I don't think it'd be an elite team.
I don't think it necessarily has to be a Premier League team. I think we kind of get caught up in...
No, I don't say like, where would he end up. I didn't say a Premier League. I said I don't think it'd be an elite team. Like a PSG or a Real Madrid. No. I think it'd be like
he could play for a Champions League team.
Yeah,
easily. It's just who requires one at the minute.
Like a tier B.
This might sound a bit random, but I could see him as a Kane replacement at Bayern. I think he could in Germany. I think he would have no problem scoring. The only issue is, can he transfer that to the Champions League? But I think he could go to Germany and lead the line easily. Like they've got Nicholas Jackson as a backup. I think he could go there and do a job. It might be wild to say, but
I don't think it's wild. I'm trying to picture it. Mateta. Essentially, yeah, it could work.
Go back and link up with Elise. Got Diaz doing a madness on the other side.
I was about to say it's not that hard, but then I had to stop myself. Because I'm doing Harry Kane a disservice and all the other strikers in front that have played. I've led the Bayern line. But he'll have a much easier time scoring goals for Bayern.
Speaking of Mateta, there's a bit of a online stir this week regarding some comments that he made a couple of weeks ago that came to light, which was essentially him in his early days at Crystal Palace talking about his dreams and aspirations of making it into the French national team. And he said that Zaha kind of ridiculed him when this was mentioned in the locker room. And it's taken a bit of a time for Zaha to respond, but he's come out and been quite frank about his response.
In English and in French.
In English and in French. So he was upset. And essentially he was saying it was locker room banter, and he feels that JP kind of using his name a little bit now that he's got into the French squad. What's your take on it? Do you see it as it's just football banter that JP might not have got because he was kind of new to the league? Because we've all been in football dressing rooms and like things are said.
Do you know what it is,
right?
You can't police how people take what you say.
Yes.
All right. You can only monitor and control what you say, what comes out of your mouth and the things that you do. I genuinely believe that it was just locker room banter, and yeah, they probably were just riffing him and da da da. I think he's taking it the wrong way. I think in the moment he might have just laughed it off, but I think it probably genuinely hurt him more than he let on.
Yeah.
So I think in the moment, if he'd have let on and said, maybe reacted a certain way, then they might have quashed it, and he could have got an apology, or might not have, or they might have just gone their separate way. But in the moment, it's dealt with. It sounds to me like they've got onto him. He's said what he said. They've got onto him. He's held that. He's took it personally. Like the Michael Jordan meme.
I took that personally.
Because he's clearly improved since then.
Yeah, very much so.
And gotten into the French squad, and then he's kind of like when it's a bit of a weird analogy, but when the rapper says, "Oh, the teacher said I'd never make it," and they use every opportunity to now just feel to stunt on the teacher. It kind of feels like that. It feels like Mateta's made it to the French squad, and now he's using this opportunity to flex on Zaha and just be like, "I told you." You see, like I told you. Now it's unfair for me. It's unfair. It is unfair on Zaha that he's just used his name.
Because there's other people in the locker room, and yeah.
So I get where Wolf's coming from in that instance, but I don't think he should have said anything. I think he should have just left it alone.
Yeah, and obviously
because what is it? What are you trying to clear?
Yeah, it was an interview.
Really,
I don't think we've had the full context of kind of how the interview came to light, or what the question was asked. And also in Zaha's defence, you've got to realise when they had this conversation, it was Mbappe, Griezmann, Benzema, whoever else was playing up front for France. No one would have said that Mateta was making it there.
Was he even called up for the under-21s at that point, or
I
whichever age group he was in?
So yeah, Zaha's got a bit of heat for it, but I think it's a bit unjust. Bit of locker room banter. I think there it was kind of lost in translation, new to the league, etc.
I think Wolf's taking it too far, too personal. I get it.
Yeah.
But bro, just there was no need to come out and do like.
But he was very serious. I think he could, if he came out and laughed it off and been like, "Yeah, it was just locker room banter, new guy in the changing room, wasn't playing for France. That's why we said it." I think it would have been cool. But he came out as if he was attacking JP. But it happens.
It happens, man.
Yeah, and it'll get brushed under the carpet soon. But big up Mateta, man. He had dreams of playing for the French national team. Got called up in the last international break, so it's worked out for him. Right, moving to Saturday, early kickoff, 12:30 at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, Chelsea 3. Achifong, Neto, and James with the second half goals.
It's a bit of a second half flurry, because when I tuned in, it had just been gone half time. Second half starts, and I'm sitting there thinking, all right, Ange might actually see this out.
And the thing is, that Nottingham Forest had 2 or 3 really good chances in the first half, and I put in one of my groups, I hope they don't rue these chances, because that's how football goes sometimes. Yeah. You're on top, can't really put the ball in the back of the net, and things just don't go your way. And because things didn't go their way, Ange was sacked apparently 19 minutes after the full-time whistle.
Marinakis wasn't even in his seat. He'd already made a beeline.
But then he was like, yeah, it's time to get.
He'd already gone down there. I think he was probably standing at the changing room door. You come with me.
Yeah, so there's been a bit of rumours about how they met in the tunnel, and they had a bit of an argument. Like, we don't know the full details. But if we rewind back 40 days now, because that's when he was appointed, we said we think it's the wrong appointment. And we know John is anti-Ange a strong assessment, or is that pretty spot on?
I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, John is very anti-Ange. But I think the general consensus was this is the wrong appointment for Nottingham Forest and what they need to do to get to where they want to go. What went wrong? I'll put the appointment aside, because obviously once he's been appointed, he can have the necessary tools to try and get things right. But what do you think was wrong with Ange's appointment?
Everything. What kind of? No, seriously, everything was wrong with that. He was hired because I think the rumor was obviously the Greek connection.
Yeah.
But if we're being honest, he was hired because he just won the Europa League with Spurs, right? And I know that Marinakis has aspirations of Forest making waves in Europe, so he probably thought, okay, come in, bring that what you did over there, bring it here, get us to that mountaintop. But also, I don't think he thought that they would lose every game he managed. So, well, not every game, but most of the games that he's managed. I just think his philosophy is not a good one. I think he was pretty much. I think his time at Celtic inflated his own sense of ability as a manager. Now, probably that might sound harsh, but going to manage in Celtic is not the hardest of jobs. Let's be honest. There's a 2-horse league. It was previously Celtic and Rangers, and now it's Celtic and Hearts. And for the most part, it's always been Celtic until I think when was the last time Rangers won the league under Gerrard? So he came down to manage Spurs. He that first 10 games spurt where they won 10 in a row, and then after that, everyone figured out they like playing a high line. What's hard? It's not hard to set your team up to deal with that, and his stubbornness, his inability to turn around and say, do you know what, this isn't working, let's try something different, is what's cost him. And I feel like he's gone away and he hasn't had enough time to sit with that and to say, okay, what went wrong, how can I fix it? He's just come straight back into management.
Yeah.
And pretty much carried on.
Yeah, I understand
and we're seeing the effects of it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when Steven Gerrard sat down with Rio Ferdinand, he said after he left Saudi, he had to take some time away to assess where he would go next. And he had offers, but he was like, the time is not right, just in terms of where I'm at and my team. I need everything to align. And it doesn't seem like Ange has taken enough time out for everything to align.
No, at all.
And take a full assessment of where things went wrong at Spurs. Granted, you won the Europa League, but your league form was really, really bad. Why was it that bad? And I don't think the assessment was there from him. And even if you look at his lineup, like he didn't start Chris Wood, didn't start Callum Hudson-Odoi. Those are the players who essentially got Nottingham Forest to where they got to last season. I know you can say international break, but Chris Wood played in Norway, so he didn't have to travel back far. Hudson-Odoi wasn't away. And even Ndoye, who scored a couple goals at the start of the season, he was on the bench yesterday, didn't come on. There were a lot of changes. I know it's a squad game. Maybe he was looking forward to the Europa League this week. Maybe that's why he didn't start them. But when you're in the mire...
Which is absolutely mad to me, considering that I think everyone and their grandma pretty much knew that this was a must-win game for you. So you not going in with your strongest squad.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? Like, seriously.
Crazy. Iwani started, first start of the season. Gibbs White played a little bit further up. It was just pretty bad. Second half, granted, first half they were good, as I said, but second half they were pretty bad. So there were a few rumours yesterday that Mancini and Sean Dyche were the guys touted to take over. Do any of those, do you think, would be productive and to get Marinakis to where he wants to get to?
No. There's only one guy that they should have kept in that seat. It was Nuno.
Massive error. Looking back now.
Massive error.
Yeah, and he's kind of fallen on his sword in terms of Edu, because we hear that's where the rift was. It wasn't between Marinakis necessarily and Nuno. It was between Edu and Nuno in terms of the players that they wanted to bring in.
And what's sad about that is Nuno's the guy that got you to where you are.
without Edu.
Without Edu. So now, if your viewpoint is, look, I've brought Edu in to do a specific job, I need you two guys to work together, then your job as the owner is to facilitate a good working relationship. Not sit there and say, well, I'm paying him a golden ticket, so you need to deal with it. That's a lack of loyalty, right? And I know there's no loyalty in football. It's all business, right? But it's just it's a shame to see how he treated Nuno, considering what Nuno did for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. So, yeah, let's be on the lookout for see who replaces Big Ange in the Nottingham Forest hot seat. Right.
Before we move on, Chelsea are collecting red cards like
oh, yeah.
like they're getting out of fashion.
Gusto got sent off for
What's going on?
two yellow cards. Yeah, I think that's something that Maresca needs to get a handle on. It's quite ironic because he was sitting in the stands for being shown a red card in the last game against Liverpool. So, yeah, him being the one to say we need to sort out discipline after just receiving a red card is quite ironic. Right, Fulham 0, Arsenal 1. Trossard with a 58th-minute winner from a corner. Arsenal weren't at their best,
But they did what they needed to do.
but got the job done.
That's it.
And that's what was levelled at Liverpool at the start of the season. Don't necessarily play well, but get the 3 points. And I think Arsenal will need to have a few of these games if they want to get over the line. You're never going to steamroll everyone in the league. Fulham is a hard place to go to get 3 points. I believe they beat Arsenal there last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, on paper, it's a very good win for Arsenal, considering today's result.
Does it matter that Gyökeres is not scoring?
I don't think it does. I think there was a big expectation that Arsenal sign a number 9 and then that number 9 would turn into Haaland, where we know that doesn't really happen. There's not many strikers in the Premier League who come in, especially in their first season, and just do terrific numbers. It will get to a point where he will need to start contributing if others aren't. So we're not getting many goals from Saka. I know Saka's been injured, but there hasn't been many goals from Saka. Trossard and Martinelli are sharing a little bit, but again, Eze's relatively new, but there's not much from midfield either. So if that continues, it will get to the point where it's like, right, what do we need to do to get Gyökeres on the end of chances? Because last year it was about, we're creating the chances, but no one's putting it in the box or putting it in the net, sorry.
I mean, for me, it doesn't matter in the sense that they've only conceded 3 goals all season. So as long as they can keep that down, keep a solid defence and keep clean sheets, they don't really need Gyökeres to be firing
And also
20 plus. They just need goals to be pitched in from elsewhere. So if Saka drops 10, if Eze can give you 8, Trossard and Martinelli 4 apiece, Gyökeres can at least give you 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And they're just winning games 1-0 here and there, and they're just keeping the clean sheets. I don't think it will matter in the long run.
Yeah.
I think it matters if Liverpool sort their selves out and they're now firing. If City can keep firing, then it starts to matter because you need a striker who's scoring and doing pretty essentially what Salah did for Liverpool last season, right?
Yeah, very much so. In terms of Arsenal only conceding 3 goals so far, do you think they could match or better Chelsea's record
What
of
was Chelsea's record?
15,
15 for the whole season.
which is mental?
So how many games? How many games are we in now?
8
10?
games.
8 games, 3 goals.
Yeah. So if they're on course to beat it.
They're on, yeah.
So you say we're a quarter of the way through the season essentially. they'd end up with 12, which is mad. And I've always thought, you see the records of Chelsea only conceding 15, Arsenal going unbeaten, City getting 100 points. I've always thought conceding the 15 goals would be the hardest to beat.
Why?
Conceding 15 goals over a 38-game season, I think that's incredible. I think that's the hardest of the lot.
How's that harder than getting over 100 points?
But 100 points is just your team's good, just consistent. I think with the goals conceded, you have to be so tight each game at the back.
Or even going unbeaten for the whole season.
But teams have come close to the unbeaten. So like Liverpool have lost one game, maybe like 3 or 4 times in a Premier League season.
Okay, so all right, fair enough. That is probably the easiest one of the lot. Even though that sounds mad, because it's a level of consistency that you have to show throughout the season. 100 points.
So you think that's the hardest? So out of those 3, so getting 100 Premier League points, going unbeaten in the Premier League, or conceding 15
or less.
goals or less. You think 100 points is the...
Because everyone pretty much has to be firing. The whole squad has to be firing, right? If to concede 15 or less, you have a solid defence, like a really solid defence and a good goalkeeper. You can pretty much bank on doing that, which is what Arsenal have at the moment.
Yeah.
They pretty much have the best defence in I'll stick my neck out and say the whole of Europe.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't.
Like on paper, I think they've got the best defence in Europe, right? But show me a squad that can, because remember, it wasn't just, was it City? City and Liverpool hit 100, no?
No, Liverpool hit 96 when City hit 97.
That's it. Show me a squad that's firing all season round.
Yeah.
And can hit 100
I need to find
points.
the next lowest after the 15 just to see how good it is. But I personally think conceding 15...
Who did it in the Championship?
Championship don't count, man. We're not doing that. But yeah, Arsenal rumble on to another victory. They're now 3 points clear at the top and the bookies' favourite for the league at the minute. But we are only in October and a lot can happen between now.
And Arsenal season usually ends in February, so...
And May. So let's see what happens. So yeah, we'll just do a roundup of the rest of the Premier League action. Sunderland with a 2-0 win over Wolves. Wolves still yet to pick up a win in the Premier League this season. Sunderland are now up to 7th in the league. They've only conceded 6 goals themselves. And they are doing themselves a really, really good favour getting the points on the board so early. They've got more points than Southampton managed to muster in the whole of last season. And I think it's really good that the teams that have come up, and we'll touch on Burnley quickly as well, that they're not scared anymore and their style of football seems to have changed. They're not sitting back and soaking up pressure and trying to get a counter-attack goal, etc. They're actually playing football. And I think that's what you need to survive in this league if it comes off.
But I'm going to say it one more time because I said it last time. Xhaka. I
still think
literally everything going through him, the experience that he brings, his ability. Xhaka. Granit Xhaka.
I hear it. Manchester City 2, Everton 0. Haaland with a quick fire brace. I think Everton will be kicking themselves because they had some good chances in the first half to take the lead, but can't give Haaland the space that he was afforded yesterday. Burnley 2, Leeds 0. 2 promoted teams going at it. Burnley with a win that takes them up to 7 points, a win that they needed. Leeds, I think they can be happy with their performances so far. 15th in the league, 8 points. Consistency of the teams that have just been promoted will be needed. Brighton 2, Newcastle 1. That guy Wells with a double sandwiched between
Evergreen Welbs.
Evergreen World. That's it. Sandwiched between a Watermade back heel flick type goal.
Very, very tidy
really
finish.
good finish. Really
Very
good finish. And I think Newcastle fans will be quite pleased with the way this striker transfer dealings have worked out. Because Watermade's got a few goals and they still got, I think, maybe 30, 40 million in the bank after the Isaac sale. But yeah, Brighton doing well, 10th in the league. Newcastle sitting 13th. And finally, today's game prior to Liverpool Man United was Spurs 1, Aston Villa 2. Bentancur opened the scoring, and then 2 really, really good goals from Aston Villa. Rodgers with a bit of a solo effort. I'm putting a bit of blame on Vicario. I think his positioning could have been a little bit better.
His positioning was terrible
but
today.
It was quite a fierce shot, so we can give him a bit of a leeway. And then when Dia rounded off, a really good move, started off by Cash firing the ball out wide to Luka Dean with a nice control, lays it off to Buendia, and he curls a left-footed shot into the bottom corner, giving Aston Villa a 2-1 victory. Aston Villa have actually won their last 3 league games now. Considering they hadn't won in their first 5, they've moved steadily up the league to 11th position. So just do a quick table round off. Arsenal top with 19 points, followed by Manchester City on 16, Liverpool third with 15, and Bournemouth round off the Champions League spaces also with 15 points, with Chelsea sitting in the Europa League spot. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Centre Circle. Just like to say thank you for all the likes, comments and subscribes. Please continue with that. And interacting with our socials on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. The comments are funny and we always engage with you on there. So yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode. Peace.